Maria Sanchez with KATYTV.com and the Maria Sanchez Show. We are about the county, by the county, and for the county, and we are endeavoring to help you have knowledge, which gives you power, which gives you a better informed decision. To that end, we have in studio with us Scott Harris, who is the owner of Mustang Marketing, and a political, what is a great word for you in that wonk?
Okay, we could go with wonk. I was going to go with hobbyist, but we could go with wonk.
I like wonk. And I've invited Scott to visit with us to get the information to you about the propositions, to make the words jump off the pages, and to give you something to think about so that you make a better informed decision when you vote on November 2nd. So, Scott, thank you for taking the time.
It's an absolute privilege. You know I love talking about this. I imagine that's part of the definition of wonk. So,
yes.
Having read all of this, it's an absolute pleasure to get to talk about it.
Thank you. And we're on to Proposition 21, so I'll let you read what it is.
This is a very simple proposition, probably the easiest of the 9 to understand. It establishes an $18 annual vehicle license surcharge to help state parks and wildlife programs. And basically what it says is if you register a vehicle in the state of California, not a commercial vehicle, not a trailer, but a car, basically. If you register a car in the state of California, you're going to pay an $18 premium, and that premium is going to go into the state park system. The benefit to you will be that the money goes into the state parks. Roughly $250 million will transfer into the state parks that isn't there. There's no argument that our state parks are in trouble financially. The trails are not being maintained. The bathrooms are being shut down. We have some real problems with our state parks. And you then get in free. Every vehicle that has paid the $18 fee gets into all the state parks for free. So if you're a regular visitor to state parks, it's a heck of a deal. You would, of course, be in favor of it. And if you're not a regular visitor, then you have to talk about some other issues and things, which I think we should probably chat about as we go through this. It increases state revenues about $500 million annually. Now, when you say you're increasing state revenues, you're increasing taxes. I mean, it's a fee, it's a tax, it's money that we're not paying now. And if you remember back to the recall, one of the big reasons that now Governor Schwarzenegger, then actor Schwarzenegger, won was his attack on the car tax.
Right.
Gray Davis was desperate for money. He was going to try to implement a car tax. The governor came out and said, absolutely not, never going to do it, can't do it, we won't do it. And we didn't really want it as the people in the state of California. We want all the services, we just don't want to pay for them.
Right. But I remember getting back a refund.
We did, because some of us did pay those taxes.
Right, and it was substantial.
Yeah, what this really is now, this is a car tax. This was the big bugaboo 7, 8 years ago. Now we've brought it in, and what we've really done, in my view, and this is a personal view, is that we have softened the car tax. We've put it in state parks, and bears, and coyotes, and foxes, and happy days with picnics, and $18, and what's the big deal? But we have to understand, whether you agree with it or not, you have to understand this opens the door for the next tax. Is it going to be for public safety? Is it going to be for teachers? Is it going to be pay down debt? Is it going to be to build roads? What's it going to be? So eventually, my belief is, once we open this door, and the people of the state of California prove this, the car tax is now no longer sacred. It's a matter of how much and for what different things. It's a brilliant move to do something this small, this soft, and this easy. Everybody likes parks. Everybody likes libraries. That's $20 a year. It's $1.50 a month, right? That's no big deal. So that's okay, and that's great, and it's good for the parks, by the way, and it really is good for the parks for them to get, somewhere in the neighborhood of $250 million a year that they do not have now.
But do they have a budget for how they're going to spend that, or was there a budget that they fell short that amount? And
they're way short. There is no argument. I mean, you can debate whether you think we should all be paying for the parks or not, or whether we should be paying a car tax or not. But you can't debate that the parks are in trouble. The parks are in serious financial trouble. It's one of the ways that we've tried to pay off the other things that we're paying for is we've taken money out of the state park budget. And as a result, the state's parks are falling apart. They're just decrepit. So there's more than $250 million of backlog and repair work that needs to be done. So there's no argument that if we want to have a good state park system, we're in trouble. And what we're doing in the state park system is what homeowners do that don't do repairs. You can take $1 million home and you don't do repairs for a year, and that's okay. In 2 years, that's okay. You get that 5th, 6th, 7th year where you haven't done repairs, where everything's duct tape, and suddenly the house is no longer worth anything. And the cost to bring it back up to snuff is prohibitive. Same thing's happening with the park district.
No, why wouldn't they just charge more for the park district access?
Because then less people come. It's supply and demand. I might go to the park for $7 a day, but I may not go for $15 a day. And then so once it gets to 15 and less people go, now I got to raise it to $20 a day. And pretty soon, nobody's going to the park.
Which is the point behind the cigarette tax.
Yes.
The higher you tax, the less
Exactly.
people buy.
And it's a weird thing because we understand that in cigarettes, right? We discourage people from smoking if you raise the taxes.
Right.
But they don't want to see that in something that we like, which is parks. But if you raise the entry fees, less people will go. It's a fact.
So, Scott, am I hearing you say that it's not just about $18, but it's about what you're opening up?
I believe it is.
future?
I believe it's a philosophical decision that we're making. I think most people in the state of California would gladly throw a $20 bill in the kitty to keep the parks running smoothly. I don't think a lot of people would have a big problem with that. I really don't. Even all the people who are no new taxes, no new fees, $20 for a year to keep the parks running, and you get into all the parks for free. I think that's a pretty good deal. I would take that deal. But you are opening the door now to the car tax, which we proved when we threw Gray Davis out of office, and then that was the big thing in the battle with Cruz Bustamante and McClintock and Schwarzenegger was the car tax. And so, but once you open this door, it's no longer a matter of whether we're going to get more. It's just a matter of how soon, how much, and what they're going to be designated for.
But, of course, you could argue that we'll cross those bridges when we get there.
Absolutely.
And we can say,
and of course, that's what the park people want. All
Right.
they want us to do is focus on, for $18 a year, we can save the parks and you can get in for free. And really, if you took it at that, at face value, I think that's a pretty good deal for the people of California. I think that's a pretty safe bet.
Talk about the local angle now.
We do have a couple local angles. Number one, the rebuttal against is signed by Peter Foy, who's one of our county supervisors, and Peter clearly has an eye on statewide office and is looking for it. So I suggest if you get a chance, grab your pamphlet and read what Peter wrote and what Peter signed. VECETA, which is the Ventura County Economic Development Association here in Ventura County, is against this. And because I happen to be on the board there, so I've been part of the discussion. And the big reason is because it does open the door to additional fees. And really, they're taxes. I mean, they're not technically a tax, but they are. Just another way of generating mandatory revenue. So, that's why they're against it. Unions are in favor of it because they want this door open. This is the door they want kicked open. So all of the major unions in the state of California are in favor of it. Newspapers are split. On the 9 propositions, this is the one where your major newspapers, and there's about 20, 25 in the state of California, this is the one where they're the closest to being evenly split.
Huh.
There's people who are saying, you know what, we'll worry, the point that you made, we'll worry about the next step later. I'm not buying into the domino theory. We can't afford to have the state park system collapse. So we're gonna get this money now. We're gonna save the state park system. We'll fight the next battle when that one comes up. That's kind of the position of the people who are in favor, because everyone is in favor of parks. I mean,
Right.
Nobody, it's like kittens. Nobody says, "Oh my God, let's get rid of all of them." And then half of the newspapers are against it, and it's a philosophical issue. It's not the $18, and it's not that they're anti-park. It's that it's a car tax, and it opens the door to future car taxes.
And when you say car, I'm assuming you mean vehicles. You mean motorcycles, pickups.
Yeah, it doesn't count trailers and it doesn't count commercial vehicles.
Okay, but generally,
it's
what
our
we
cars.
use for transportation.
It's what you and I are.
Okay.
Well, you're using a bike, but for the rest of us, that still get behind something that requires
our
a key.
know that we were at the Reagan on Wednesday with.
And
Sunday.
she had to drive.
I did. Our Born to Be Wild.
She had to dust off the windshield and recharge the battery. It was a big deal.
President Reagan was responsible for Harley Davidson's making it in the 80s, and the Reagan Library was honoring that.
Wow,
So
very
we were
cool.
there. And our Katie viewers know that. So
There you go. And if you're interested in the viewers and where some people stand on Prop 21, the Democrats are in favor of it. The Libertarians obviously are not. They're not in favor of any more money being transferred. Republicans are not in favor of it. Meg Whitman is not in favor of it, and candidate Brown again declined to state his position, which he did on 7 of the 9 propositions. He's just not willing to take a position.
And Scott, you mentioned that off the air, but I'll reiterate what you said is that Meg Ryan has come out with a public opinion about all 9 propositions.
All 9.
And Jerry Brown has come out with an opinion on 2.
Prop 19 and Prop 23 are the only 2 he's taken a position on. The other 7, he just doesn't have the courage to do it.
And that's probably an opinion.
I didn't tell you which way to vote. I just gave an opinion.
Scott Harris with Maria Sanchez with KADYTV.com.